Today, we are fortunate to be joined by Jose Luis Los Arcos. Jose Luis currently serves as Senior Vice President over Sports Partnerships at Televisa Univision. JL, welcome. Thank you for being so gracious with your time this afternoon.
Of course. Thank you, James. It's great to see you. Fellow MLSer, let's point that out from the beginning. Great
Yes,
to be
sir.
here. Thank you for having me.
Terrific. Well, before we kind of dive into some questions and conversation, if you don't mind, we'd love to kind of turn the mic to you for a second and just hear kind of a summary of the scope of your current role and ultimately what you're responsible for.
Sure. So my title says that I am the Senior Vice President of Sports Partnerships here at Televisa Univision. What that means, in essence, is oversimplifying it. My team and I are responsible for bringing to life how brands interact with our content and all of our sports content, whether that is from in-game integrations, whether it's a clock wrap or a lower third or an animated feature, all the way through branded content and storytelling about the game around the game across all of our platforms, streaming, social, linear, you name it.
Tremendous. So with Real Madrid lifting yet another Champions League trophy this past weekend, and I know you're a big fan, so I thought this would be kind of the perfect place for us to start the conversation. But you guys now owning the Spanish language broadcast rights here in the US, how important is the Champions League to Televisa Univision's overall soccer programming? And what steps are you taking to ensure its long-term success amongst US viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. The Champions League and all the UEFA competitions that fall within the Champions League umbrella, being Europa League and Confederations League, are very important. And primarily for one simple but very strategic reason is that Champions League or European soccer in general does not conflict with a lot of our other soccer properties, meaning it is a competition that takes place during the week versus on the weekends, and it takes place midday versus prime time. So, as you know, we are a lot of North American soccer that usually takes place in prime time and on weekends. So, therefore, Champions League and all the UEFA competitions are a perfect complement for us from a scheduling and programming standpoint. Additionally, the UEFA competitions offer us a really large amount of volume that helps us serve our content to our fans across all platforms. Obviously, we cannot put all the content on linear or on Univision proper or TUDN, our 24/7 sports cable network, but we are able to leverage our streaming platform VIX very aggressively in order to serve our fans with every single European game. On top of our scheduling and programming strategy with the Champions League, we're very excited because next year the Champions League comes in with a completely revamped format.
You mentioned kind of the beauty of Champions League being a part of the portfolio is the timing advantage with it not conflicting with some of the other properties, which kind of is a nice segue to talk about Liga MX for a second.
Mm-hmm.
How has the popularity of Liga MX evolved in the US over the past few years? And what factors do you think have really been behind what's driven that growth?
That's a great question. Liga MX is our bread and butter. And we've been incredibly pleased to see the growth that the league has had in the United States over these past years. And there's several reasons why we believe this growth has happened and is continuing to happen. We certainly see it happening more and more in the future. One, there's no secret that from a demographic perspective, the Hispanic American and Mexican American population in this country is only growing. That population is more than ever feeling very strong cultural connections to their what used to be their home country in Mexico, and a lot of that time that translates to the sport of soccer and the clubs that one might support. For example, if your parents came from Mexico as America fans, chances are that if they brought you up properly, right, you're going to follow your parents' footsteps, and you will also be an America fan. But kidding aside, the population growth and the cultural connection is very strong, and that's one of the factors. Two, the league has increased its quality of play and star power They're bringing household names like Guignac, for example, a French national team player, has been an incredible sensation over Tigres for many years. They brought Sergio Canales, Monterrey brought them last year, and he's been quite successful. And then there's homegrown Mexican talent that is being developed and growing through the ranks, which is incredibly exciting to see. And then a couple of other reasons I think are, from a partnerships perspective, um, the partnerships that Major League Soccer in particular has struck with Liga MX has benefited Liga MX greatly in the United States. For example, with Leagues Cup that started in its new format last year, which came to the scene with a bang with Lionel Messi playing his first games with Inter Miami against Liga MX teams. So all that continued exposure, whether it's Leagues Cup or Campeones Cup, for example, only benefit Liga MX because they're getting more eyeballs, they're getting more exposure here in the United States. And then from a sponsorship perspective, I know you know this, James, but we at Televisa Univision secured the rights to represent Liga MX's intellectual property in the United States over a year ago, and we've been very pleased with how that is going. We have an incredible roster of official partners that are supporting the league and amplifying what the league is and means here in the United States, with the likes of Metro by T-Mobile, State Farm, Expedia, Hyundai, who we just announced a few weeks back, and Patria as well. There's brands there that are developing, for example, custom creative commercials in and around Liga MX. State Farm and Expedia being an example. If you tune in to Liga MX matches, you'll see them leveraging these commercials that they've developed specifically for this property. And that's obviously having a big impact in the exposure that the league is getting. And then finally, as well, maybe the last one is just from a community standpoint, we're working very hard with the league to bringing the league to life closer to the U.S. fan base. And we do this through a variety of events like Campeón de Campeones happening in June 30th, actually now in Los Angeles. And we've also developed a platform of viewing parties called Fiestones that we take to key cities 4 times a year, where the fan base has the chance to touch and feel what the league is, what the league means. In addition, the clubs themselves are really starting to look at this market. A perfect example is Monterrey. They're doing a terrific job in the Texas region with doing some outreach to fan bases there and engaging with them on a more regular basis.
Perfect. So this summer, kind of in the soccer world, we've got a couple of really exciting tournaments coming up with the Euros and with Copa America. If we talk about Copa America specifically, obviously a major tournament for the sport, how does Televisa Univision plan to capitalize on the event to engage both existing soccer fans, but also attract new soccer fans here in the US?
That's a great question. And Copa America for us is much more than a soccer tournament. The way we see Copa America this year is it's going to be a cultural event, a cultural celebration of Hispanic culture through the lens of soccer. So to your point, that gives us a unique opportunity to really engage with diehard fans that are going to be there regardless. They want to, know what's happening in each individual team. They're going to follow the games. They're going to follow the storylines from a competition standpoint, but also to bring to the fold of the celebration a whole new series of fans, more casual fans that are in it for a variety of reasons, whether it's the star power of the likes of, Vinicius Jr. coming and Messi coming. That's going to open a window of content and narratives that otherwise we wouldn't have. And that's going to be something that we work very closely with the rest of the company, meaning from our entertainment programming, news programming, music programming, to really bring to life this celebration of Hispanic culture through the lens of soccer. An example of that is, we just announced a couple weeks back that we've partnered with Shakira for her song Punteria to be the theme song of our coverage of Copa America here on Televisa Univision. And we all know that Shakira can put a great soccer theme song together. As a Spaniard, I remember 2010 with Waka Waka incredibly well. So we're very excited to work with her on that. And as I said, we're very excited to bring to the fold as many people as possible to join us in the celebration of soccer.
Thinking and kind of shifting from one big tournament being Copa America to really the biggest tournament in the World Cup just a couple of years out,
Mm-hmm.
what strategies are being implemented to really build excitement and capitalize off the momentum and interest within the sport of soccer, not only leading up to the 2026 World Cup, but on the other side of the World Cup?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we're very excited with how um, the momentum that soccer is having here in the United States, and we know that that's only going to continue to grow through at least 2026 when the World Cup hits. For us, the World Cup or the road to the World Cup has in essence started,
Mm.
and maybe a way to look at it is that Copa America is that initial bang that's kind of kicking things off for us. We're going to be talking about the Road to World Cup and national team soccer all throughout Copa America, post Copa America, 2025 Gold Cup, obviously played here in the United States, and then all throughout 26 until the World Cup starts. It's important to note as well that from a national team standpoint, certain teams don't need to qualify. So we're losing a lot of those World Cup qualifiers that are usually a kind of landmark of our coverage ahead of a tournament such as this one, because USA, Mexico, and Canada are automatically qualified given that they're host nations. So we're going to be airing all those USA and Mexico friendly matches ahead of the World Cup that are going to be in essence a preparation for them. That's where we're going to see the team starting to get fine tuned. Who the coach is thinking might be the team they want to bet on in this incredible tournament that's coming in 2026. Another kind of strategy that we have, and we're in a unique position um, compared to everybody else, is as Televisa Univision, we're the largest Spanish language media company, not only in the United States, but also in Mexico. And given that the two largest host nations are USA and Mexico, the level of access we're going to have throughout these years to infrastructures, teams, players, everything that has to do with what is going to ultimately be this World Cup, we're going to be in a unique position to bring that to life for our audience and for soccer fans overall. That's leveraging our local stations, our audio networks, and as I said, our deep relationship with Televisa in Mexico to create incredible content leading up to the tournament.
Amazing. So zoom in kind of out of a discussion around any specific tournament and kind of talking more generally. And you've touched on kind of this question via a couple of your answers. But what role does technology, digital, social media play in your strategy to engage fans and expand viewership?
It's incredibly important. I think that anybody that's not focusing on the tech side of things, social digital platforms to amplify content is really missing on where things are going, if you will. Uh, you know, I talked about earlier our streaming platforms. It's very important for us to be able to engage with our viewers and with fans everywhere across our VIX platform. Social media is incredibly important for us. That's where you get all your real time interaction. That's where we can really generate a variety of content that will cater to all of our fan bases. And, I always make the distinction that sometimes Liga MX fan might not be the same way that you talk to a Champions League fan or that you talk to a US soccer fan. So social media really allows us to cater messaging in real time and generate engagement with our audience and with fans. And then we've been working a lot with influencers and creators that help bring the passion of soccer to life and leveraging their broad reach in many times partnership with our TUDN talent, and that's been incredibly successful. For example, Metro by T-Mobile does it incredibly well through their partnership with Liga MX at these community viewing parties. They bring influencers along that generate content and extend the life of the property and of the games throughout the year. Um, Gamification is something that we're paying more attention to. I think that certainly the technology has been there, and more so than ever currently there to offer very cool and interesting ways for fans to engage with content in real time and allow brands to come in and be that partner that serves these fans with content that is additive to the viewing experience of the game, and do so in a gamified way that it generates a lot of engagement. Um, those are a few that I would call out.
It's tremendous. And I know you keep a keen eye on industry trends and what others are doing. I'm intrigued as to whether there are any macro level industry trends that you're paying close attention to at the moment that you see having an impact on the commercial landscape in sports, be it today or in the near future.
Yeah, certainly there's a couple of things that are interesting to me. And one is very broad, which is, as we just discussed, the tech side of things and the vast amount of ways that one can consume sports content today, whether that's streaming, etc., and how that landscape is constantly evolving. I don't think that it's every 3 to 6 months things are changing, and one needs to keep up to speed. So that's going to be something that's very interesting in terms of how consumers are um, on the regular consuming this content, and where they go to get this information. One that is interesting as well to me in this role that I have, but I'm seeing it with other sports as well, is just the globalization of sports. You see it with the NFL, for example. I think that they're doing an incredible job at really reaching out beyond the U.S. Borders, and delivering their content to countries all over the world. Whether that's Brazil, where they'll play a game this year, whether it is in Madrid, where they'll play a game in 2025. We obviously know the games in England and Germany. They're doing a great job of exporting their product. And on that same vein, it appears now that in the United States, foreign leagues are going to have it easier to, at some point in time, and I don't think that will be in the much too distant future, host league games in the U.S. And that offers an incredible opportunity for those leagues to monetize the U.S. market in a way that they weren't able to do so before. Whether that is, for example, Liga MX, whether that is La Liga from Spain, whether it's the EPL, maybe potentially one day hosting games here in the United States. That's going to create an incredible amount of competition domestically here, within the sport of soccer. So that's one that I'm particularly interested in seeing how it evolves. And last one I'll talk about, for us here at Televisa Univision, it's been interesting to get into this world of sponsorship selling from an IP standpoint. We are, in essence, a media company, and those normally have not had the ability to sell these sponsorships. The only other example that I know of is Turner with the NCAA, where Turner controls the media inventory as well as the IP marks and logos of the tournament, and they're able to monetize them together. So the ability that we've brought to the table through this partnership with Liga MX to monetize the property in such a more robust way, and securing partnerships that are long term, that really allow you to work with those brands to optimize the partnership as you go, in order to make sure that they are getting everything that they wanted out of the partnership, has been incredibly interesting. And I'm going to be looking forward to seeing how we can further improve on that model.
JL, listen, thanks again for carving out some time this afternoon. I know it's late afternoon for you on the East Coast and you've still got a couple of calls to jump to, but we really appreciate it. And we wish you and the team all the success this summer leading into some exciting soccer.
Thank you, James. I appreciate your time, you guys inviting me to share my thoughts. As you said, soccer is not going anywhere. Get ready for a lot more soccer between now and 2026. And it's always a pleasure to see you, my friend. Thank you.
Perfect.